شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله جل في العلا وأحسن هدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. فيا معاشر الإخوة, as Ramadan has been concluded, for verily the mu'min from his hal or his circumstance and his condition, after he's concluded those tremendous occasions which has been legislated for us to establish the religion of Allah Ta'ala and its pillars. And from its pillars was concluded the month of Ramadan. For verily, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, now one wants to know whether or not his actions have been accepted by Allah Ta'ala. هل تقبل منه هذا العمل الذي بذله أثناء ذلك الشهر المبارك? Has he actually benefited where his actions have been accepted by Allah Ta'ala for all of his efforts and his diligence that he put forth during that blessed month? For that's not the only thing. For the signs in which Allah Ta'ala is making clear to everyone is that the time is moving very expeditiously, meaning very quickly. We see it in front of our eyes as if we fasted the month of Ramadan within 2 weeks, as if the month of Ramadan was only 2 weeks or less. And these are from the signs of the hours we'll explain bi'idhnillah jalla wa azz. For one looks at these signs, and you'll find that Allah Ta'ala talks about al-asr. We already talked about, and I'm sure everyone has acknowledged and is familiar with the surah. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, to the end of the ayah. Verily by the time, verily man is in tremendous loss. For verily the time, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَفِدْ مِنْهُ إِذَا لَمْ تَقْطَعْهُ قَطَعْكَ. For verily the time, if you do not cut it, it will cut you. And we know every time the day or the sun comes up and then it sets, the lifespan or your longevity has become less. And your ajal and your appointed time of death has become close. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, the time in which Allah Ta'ala swore by is in order for us to recognize that this affair are from the benefits that He Ta'ala can swear by what He wants from His creation. But this is not for us to swear by His creation. That is only for the one who created it, not the one who is from the creation. For the Creator Himself swears by the time. Swearing by the time and from the benefits of it is that we will be asked about it. We will be held accountable for the time that we spent in this dunya. Every split second, every split minute, everything we have done in every moment, we will be held accountable for it. We will be held accountable for our time. That is from the accountability and is from the questions in which Allah subhanahu jalla fil ula is going to ask us how and what we did with our time. As we're going to talk about inshallah. That is from the benefits. Allah Ta'ala swears by the time in order to let us know how valuable it is and how it should be utilized for two affairs as it comes in the ayah. In order for those to believe and embrace the revelation إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those who believe, meaning they believe in the revelation that's been sent down. Believing in the revelation, and the meaning of it also is purifying their belief. Make sure it is not tainted by anything of polytheism or innovations or any of the likes, and also disobedience and sins. Meaning that you utilize your time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask of everything that we did, including the breath, and also where we walked, where we came from, where we went, how we treated our families. Everything will be held accountable. The accountability, it will be severe on the day of resurrection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, except those who believe, those who traverse and have the correct understanding of Islam, those who embrace the wahi, fully embracing it and believing in it and submitting to it and following it to their utmost and their best ability. And also purifying their belief system. That's all a part, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that all of the human beings are in a state of destruction. And they're in a state in which they're going to fail. Meaning, all the other beliefs and all the other ideologies and all the other convictions, if you follow their ways, Allah is clearly saying you will be in a state of loss. If you believe in Christianity, you believe in Judaism, you believe in Buddhism, you believe in worshiping the stars, you believe in the zodiac signs, and all the other filth that's out there in the dhulumat and the darkness that is out there, if you follow it, Allah has clearly stated, you will be at loss. And then Allah only gave the exception, except those who believe in what He has sent down, embracing the correct belief, traversing the correct and being steadfast upon the correct methodology, and embracing the correct understanding of Islam. That is all part of the meaning of the ayah, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Then the second part, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and those who do righteous actions. To let you clearly know, brothers and sisters, actions are from faith. So do not listen to anyone. If they say out of their mouth, if you ask them, why don't you pray 5 times a day? Why don't you leave off the girlfriends? Stop being a fitna maker. Ya akhi, iman is here. Faith is here in my heart. It's in my chest. Allah has refuted this nonsense. Allah has clearly said from the victory that you attain is by doing an abundance of righteous actions, because the righteous actions confirm whether or not your belief is sound or not. The outward actions of what you do confirms what is sound truly in your heart. For that nonsense to say faith is here. Ya akhi, why don't you wear your pants above your ankles? Why don't you raise them? Oh, akhi, faith is here. Why don't you grow your beard? Why do you keep cutting your beard? No, faith is here. Why, akhi, why don't you pray your fast salawat? No, faith is here. Why don't you come to Jumu'ah? No, faith is here. What? Ya akhi, so actions doesn't confirm whether or not your belief is sound or not. All of that is batil. Allah has refuted this in His book and a lot of ayat, saying that actions is from faith. And actions actually is the sign and the indication. And it confirms what is truly in your heart. The actions is the proof of whether or not you truly believe. That's why Allah followed it up after establishing the foundation of belief. Allah said, except those who believe and do what? Righteous actions, because the righteous actions confirms whether or not the belief is sound or not, or correct or not. So don't listen to the nonsense of the Muslims out there who have deviated or ignorant and say, ya akhi, I don't have to do none of that. I don't have to grow my beard because faith is here. That's nonsense. That's batil. Allah has said in so many different ayat, tilkumul jannah urithumuha bima kuntum ta'malun. بِسَبَبِ عَمَلِكُمْ دَخَلْتَ الْجَنَّةِ. That is the gardens you have inherited because of the actions you have done, whether they be righteous. And Allah also refutes the nonsense to say even the people that hellfire are going to enter hell because of actions. There's no getting around it. They're either going to enter paradise because they did what's correct, or they're going to enter the hellfire because they did something wicked. So still getting around, you cannot get around actions. Actions is either the key to entering paradise, or is the reason to enter paradise, or is the reason for entering hell. For Allah Ta'ala has refuted all this batil that the Muslims believe from the deviant sects of them. And I am not shy to say deviant sects from the Muslims because they exist. They truly exist. And if you deny that they don't exist, you must be living in another dimension. There are deviant Muslims out there, they're deviant sects. You have to avoid. The message of Allah has made it clear. ثلاثة من أمتي سيفترقون افترقت 73 ملة يعني من أمة محمد كلهم في النار إلا واحدة. 73 of my ummah. And we will talk about, inshallah, when we have another time. The message of Allah is clearly stating that his ummah will separate the 73 sects. They're all in hell. If you go back to the shurah, the hadith, the commentators of the hadith have said, هذا من أصول الفرق وإلا أنهم تشعبوا أكثر من ذلك. He said that is the origins of the deviant sects. He said, hence, the Ummah of Muhammad split into more sects than that. But the foundations go back to those 72 that he mentioned. And we go to 73 in which he gave an exception except one. That's the usul al-firaq. For ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, it's not incumbent upon one just to leave off the belief of disbelief, or just leave off the kuffar, or reject the ideologies of disbelief. One has to also distance himself from the people deviants and deviants and its people. You have to. That's also part of the foundation of the meaning of La ilaha illallah. That you also separate yourself from the people who the message of Allah said that will enter hell. And the message of Allah said they are from the Muslims who deviated. Deviated in what? Deviated in what the message of Allah gave the key. Foundation and the distinguishing factor that separates between one that is upon a correct path or the one that's upon something deviant, where he said, Ma ana alayhi al-yawma ashabi. What am I upon the day of my companions? Meaning the understanding of the religion. If you do not understand how the message of Allah understood it in the companions, you've deviated. That's in the foundations of the religion. Fi usul wa fil aqidah wa fi usuli hadha ad-din. Because the foundations of the religion, it's agreed upon. There's no ikhtilaf in it. There's no difference of opinion in it. For if you stay steadfast, firm upon that, then inshaAllah bi'idhnillah tabarak wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of his mercy will enter one in the gardens bi'idhnillah jalla wa azz. For ya ma'ash al-ikhwa. The time, as you see, it is moving very quickly. And Allah tabarak wa ta'ala has mentioned in his book, also upon the sunnah and the message of Allah, upon the sunnah and the message of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam, talking about these days that we were going to live in. One narration, as we know, the message of Allah said, that we know, which is on the authority of Abu Barzah al-Aslami, yani Nadla ibn Ubaid, the great Sahabi, where the message of Allah said, لا تزول قدم عبد حتى يسأل عن أربع عن عمره فيما أفناه وعن علمه فيما فعل وعن ماله من أين اكتسبه وفيما أنفقه ومن جسمه فيما أبلاه وفي رواية عن شبابه فيما أبلاه. رواه الترمذي وقال هذا حديث حسن صحيح. قال, and the messenger of Allah said that the feet of the servant will not stop on the day of resurrection, meaning he's going to still, his accountability is going to continue. He's going to be held responsible, held accountable. He's going to be stopped at all of these these four affairs in which we're going to mention. And he's going to be asked about it, every single last one of them in detail. And we know the meaning of the salaf where they used to say, فَأَعِدْ لِكُلِّ سُؤَالٍ جَوَابٍ. Be prepared for every question Allah is going to ask, have an answer for it. For when you want to be on now on social media, stirring up the pot and fitna, and Allah is asking you about it, be prepared for an answer. Have an answer. These affairs are serious. He said that you and all of us will be held accountable, and it will continue their accountability on the day of resurrection until he stopped about four affairs. The first one is, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, his time and how he spent it. An umrihi fima afnah. Your time, how you spent it. Did you spend it watching the TV shows, flicking the channels for 2 hours, 3 hours straight, when you could have been making tahajjud? You could have been making some type of salat. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't see how the life of me, how any Muslim can have time to watch TV for 3 hours straight. 3 hours or 2 hours straight. And I'm just saying, all the responsibilities that one has of trying to prepare himself for the day of resurrection. And I'm still trying to figure out, how can a Muslim really have the time to watch TV shows 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and sit there and really not feel no type of way if you truly have sound faith? We just did a month of Ramadan. Did we learn from it? From the school of which we was in the month of Ramadan was to put something forth and giving Allah something of your time of the night. Giving your Lord something of the night. And if you feel you're a person that cannot do that, start with 5 minutes. Pray tahajjud for 10 minutes. Pray tahajjud for 15 minutes. Pray for 20. Start off with something very small and continue to do that, even if it's 5 minutes. Ramadan was supposed to teach you to be upright in this month and outside the month of Ramadan. It's not with something temporarily for that period of month. And that's it. After the month is over, I'm done. I'm going back to what I used to do. That is an indication, and Allah knows best. Inshallah bi'idhnillah, and I hope this is not the case, that Allah knows best. It's not a good sign of whether or not your actions was accepted. As we'll talk about what the ulama say of the signs of whether or not one's righteous actions were accepted or not. As we'll talk about. For the message of Allah said that everyone will be accountable for all these affairs. From them is the time he spent. Every minute, where you were at. Where did you get in? Where you came from? Where you were out in the street? Where you were in the club? Where you on social media causing fitna? All these affairs we're going to be stopped at and asked about, ya ma'ashal ikhwa. When it was time for you to pray, where were you at? What were you doing? When it was time for you to do such and such action, you wasn't there. Where were you at? Have prepared for every question and answer. You was at the deviant sex with the Muslims and you were participating with their activities. Why? Have an answer ready for every question. The next thing the message of Allah says, we're going to be stopped there on the day of resurrection about your actions, about your knowledge, whether or not you applied it. Everyone in this room knows they're not supposed to leave off the salah. Everyone, inshallah, in this room knows they're supposed to pray 5 salawat a day. You have knowledge of that. You have knowledge of it, you're going to be asked about it. You were supposed to pray such and such at the time of Fajr. Where were you at? Sleep. Where were you at? I was at my girlfriend's house. Have an answer. You ready? Are we ready for these answers? These questions, it's accountability, and it's this type of investigation. Are we ready for it? You have knowledge that you're supposed to fast on the month of Ramadan. What did you do with it? You had knowledge of all the affairs of the religion, of all the affairs in which it's obligatory upon one to carry out on a daily basis. What did you do with it? You know you weren't supposed to have a girlfriend. You still had one. Why? You was on social media with girls and dating them. Why? You were out there on the street. You wasn't supposed to sell drugs. You know music is haram. You know it. Why are you still listening to it? Ask ourselves, are you ready for the answer? All these questions are going to be asked. Have an answer ready for it. Because now on that day of resurrection, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, hell will be laid out in front of all of us. And it is the most frightening position to think that I'm going to be thrown in that fire. That is where everyone needs to think and put themselves in that predicament. So it can now make you a better person and an incentive to be upright. When Allah is holding all of us accountable and asking us for every single thing we did, where you were at, the knowledge that you possess, you knew it was time to pray at this particular time. Why didn't you do it? You were supposed to take care of kids. Why didn't you do it? Why were you neglectful when you were supposed to take care of this child? When this child needed help, why didn't you teach them to pray? The accountability is severe, brothers and sisters. You had children. You were supposed to teach them. You were supposed to spend on them. You were supposed to take care of your family. These are the investigations and the responsibilities we're going to have. We have to have an answer prepared for it. You know you wasn't supposed to be with those girls. You know you wasn't supposed to be on social media with pictures on it. What's your answer? You know pictures are haram. You know they're not supposed to be done. Why did you have it on there? Why are you on social media posing like this? Why are you on social media with makeup on, with a weave in your hair, with a tight overgarment bent over? Why? Ask yourself these questions. Have an answer ready when we meet Allah. You are being a reason for causing more corruption in the earth, not rectifying it. Allah has told us. Are we being reasons for now rectifying and bringing peace and harmony to the earth? Or are we reasons for causing more corruption and more evil to be widespread? We have to ask ourselves these questions. And if the people of Tawheed and Sunnah are not doing it, do you really think the other creation are going to do it? When we're supposed to be the example for the creation. That's also what we'll be held accountable for. Let's not just stop there. So the message of Allah is talking about our time. He's talking about our knowledge. We're going to be addressed whether or not we applied it. Then here comes the other. About your money. Where you obtained it and what you spent it on. من أين اكتسبه وفيما أنفقه. Where did you acquire it and what you spent it on? Accountability on the day of resurrection, is it severe, brothers and sisters? It's not. Just the first two questions is enough to be like, man, that's tremendous. I hope I'm getting myself ready now. It just didn't stop there. Just the mere time that you spent. That in itself is, we often all stop at ourselves and ask us questions about. Then on top of that, and to be in addition to that, also about our knowledge, whether or not we applied it. Now here comes that the third, in which is regard to our wealth and our money. Where you acquired it, what you spent it on. Was it from halal sources or not? Was it from drugs? From you selling it? Was it from riba? Was it from rishwa? Was it from ghish? Was it from cheating the people? Lying to the people just to get money? All these things we're going to be held accountable for. Is it upon riba, usury? All these things we have to look and make sure that we are fearing Allah Ta'ala in what we do and what we say. Statements that we made, statements that we said, everything is going to be mas'ool. Everything is going to be held accountable and questioned. Did you now sell pork? Or I did it just for the non-Muslims? Still not permissible, brothers and sisters. Not permissible for you to sell pork and khamr to the non-Muslims. That's part of spreading more corruption in the earth. You are not rectifying it. All these things we're going to be held accountable for. You earned your money from that unlawful means. Now you have to be held accountable for it. Then the last thing the Messenger of Allah said about your body. What you used it on, what you did with it. Your body. And one narration says about your youth. عن شبابك وعن جسمك فيما أبلاه. About your body, what you used it on. What did you do with it? Did you utilize it for the worship of Allah? Or did you utilize it in order to draw close to what it makes Allah angry? These accountability is very severe, ya ma'ashal ikhwa. And from the signs of that, our actions was accepted after the month is over. As we know, we hear this every year. You'll find that the great Imam Ibn Baz that he mentioned, rahimahullah. The great Imam, رغم عنوف الحزبيين وأعداء السنة. كما قال الإمام ابن باز. He said, علامات قبولها استقامة أحوال الإنسان كونه يتقدم في الخير والاجتهاد في الخير. هذه علامة أنه موفق وأن أعماله مقبولة. كونه يجتهد في الخير ويستمر على الطاعات وعلى صحبة الأخيار. وعلى صحبة الأخيار. ليس صحبة أهل البدع والمعاصي والكفر والإلحاد. كل هذه علامات دليل على أن الرجل قد تقبل منه وقد وفق للمجاهدة والاستمرار. فمن علامات القبول انشراح الصدر والاستقامة على الخير والمسارعة إلى الطاعات والحذر من السيئات. فإذا قل شره وكثر التوفيق والقبول أن تكون حاله أحسن. Naam. The great Imam Ibn Baz said from the signs that your actions have been accepted during the month of Ramadan is the uprightness of one's state, inshallah, remaining like that. He was upright before, upright in Ramadan, continues upon that uprightness. He says you'll find that he embarks upon good, being diligent in good. The signs that he is muwaffaq, that he's successful, and that his actions are accepted, you'll find him continuing in his diligence of good and being steadfast and continue upon uprightness and obedience. And listen to this last part. And taking as friends those who are good friends. Suhbat al-akhyar. Taking as friends those who are upright. People upon correct belief. Those who are upon the sunnah truly. Those who are upon manhaj al-salafi. Those who's going to encourage you to do more good actions and do more, and still be steadfast and firm upon with his righteous actions. That is also from the signs that your actions is accepted, inshallah bi'idhnillah. Then he said, also this is a sign to show, and the evidence, inshallah, that the man that his actions have been accepted and that Allah has given him tawfiq to be diligent and hardworking. From the signs of acceptance also is that his chest becomes light. He feels comfortable and he feels at ease and he wants to go and embark upon doing more good and continue to do that and hasten towards that. And he's being on guard against evil actions. So verily, if the person's evil becomes less and his good becomes in abundance and his chest is now become open and comfortable and relieved for this good, inshallah, this is the signs of tawfiq and that Allah Ta'ala, inshallah, has accepted his actions. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, may Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq, and may Allah Ta'ala accept our actions, for verily the acceptance of the actions is severe, and may Allah Ta'ala aid us, walhamdulillah.